I'd like to welcome everybody. Here we do that again.
There you go.
There we go.
Hey, Doug.
That was better.
Brother.
Welcome everyone. If I could ask Jeremy to do the Rotary prayer.
You can please join me in the Rotary prayer. Service above self. Open our eyes that we may see. Open our hearts that we may hear. Touch our hearts that we may love. Clear our minds that we may think. Strengthen our hands that we may work.
Well, the very first thing, I'd like to give a warm welcome to Dave Shabazz. He's back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back.
Tell us about your trip. You just tell me a little bit.
Oh, well, had a nice little. Well, my trip here was just a regular 3-day drive. But no, I went to be brief. I went to Iowa to be the publisher of a paper there. I was definitely the wrong man for that city. It was not a good fit on either side. So came back to San Diego and stayed there for a while, and got to a point where I was saying, do I really want to pay $1,400 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment? And that's what I was kind of going into. I was looking for a place to live there, and I didn't want to pay $1,400 a month for a 1-bedroom apartment. And I talked to Cammie, my daughter, and she's here, and she's doing real well. She's working at Buffalo Wild Wings on the weekends, working at State Farm during the week, and going to full-time nursing school over at the college here. So she's really busy, and she misses everybody. She wanted me to say hi to everybody. Well, she said, Dad, the happiest I've seen you in the last 9 years since I got divorced, she said, was when you were in Sanford. So I'm happy to be back. I'm happy to be here for her. I am definitely looking for work, so if you know anybody that's hiring, I'm definitely looking for work. And I'm done with the newspaper business, and I don't want to do that anymore. I made it to the top, and I wasn't happy with what I saw at the top, and I'm done. I'm done with that. I don't want to do that anymore. So if you know anybody that's hiring, please let me know. I'm looking for work, and just happy to be back. I miss all you guys. I've been watching you guys on the videos, so it's nice to finally be here. But thank you for the nice welcome.
Dave, I hear there's a job open at the hospital. I've got a couple of announcements. We've got the District Foundation banquet, which I hope a couple of the regulars will attend. I've got a sign-up sheet.
Yeah,
Okay. That's going to be the night of November the 8th, which is a Wednesday. And then the next day is our Trace recruiting luncheon, and really want to remind everybody in the club needs to have some responsibility to build a membership in our club. And it would be terrific if you could get one person, and this is not to get them to join the club, this is just informational. And the way you present that is, I really think you ought to come to this so that you can learn more about being a Rotarian. They'll answer all your questions, give you the rundown of what we do, the charities we support. We need to get some people there. So if anybody in your span would be interested, please ask them if they'll come. Yes.
So could I just add to that? We were hoping that John Farrell was going to be able to get out of the office and get here today, but I'm working on him to, if anybody wants to play golf after we meet out there on the 9th, I think that he can make arrangements for a really good price for all of us to do that. I checked with John, but it's too far out in his calendar to be able to.
Too far out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a day-to-day thing.
Did you tell him there was free golf or not?
But I think that would be fun.
That'd be terrific. Okay. We did have a person, unfortunately, Janice, sent me a note this week that she's resigning from the club. She's going to try to join one of the clubs in that area down in where she lives in Southern Pines. I don't know exactly what town she lives in, but she's down there now.
Yvonne, is she selling her house here, do you know?
Well, she effective this week resigned, so she's no longer with us. 2 events are coming up. December 10th, we've got a family of Rotary event. Now, every quarter, one of the 4 clubs is supporting a family of Rotary, and ours is going to be at the temple with Beauty and the Beast in April, I believe. And
Why did you point at Chris when you said the beast?
no, I meant the beauty.
You had it right the first time.
Right. But this is December the 10th. Pittsburgh has a Christmas parade every year, and they're going to have a family of Rotary event. They're going to have a tent for Rotarians. So if you're interested, it'll be at 2:30 in the afternoon. The parade starts at 3 in Pittsburgh. And then our Christmas party for us is going to be December the 14th, instead of our regular meeting. Kevin, I think you were bringing the scouts, so we need to remind you that we're not. Okay. But it's going to be at Hawkins' house, and more information to come on that. And now, I'd like to check with my sergeant at arms.
Turn it over to myself. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, a couple of us ladies in here. Good afternoon. Hope
Hey,
everyone's
Laura.
enjoying.
I'm interrupting you, and I'm
announcements.
sorry, but we got a kind of a program note. Staff here at the Flame had asked if anyone owns a white Caravan, because if you do, they're parked outside and the side door is open and there's a bunch of belongings in there. And we just, don't want it to have anything go missing. So is anyone here with a white Caravan in the parking lot?
Well, was the stuff inside it any good?
Let me go check.
I might have one.
I'm sorry.
Thank you, thank you.
Serious, and I was.
Sorry, Laura.
Sorry. Order in the club. Order in the club. Okay.
Sorry.
We have already welcomed Mr. Shabazz, and we aren't acquainted, so it's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi, pleasure. What else do we have today? We have, of course, a very welcome guest, Mr. Taylor. Charles Taylor will be a guest of the club and will be presenting today for our program. So let's welcome this gentleman. All right, we've heard several announcements. I know there are a few more out there, especially I know that there's one from Ed Nishka or Matt. There we go, regarding the
AK Matt.
AK Matt. Sorry, gotta fix my pronunciation.
Just a reminder about Bell Cherry Day, which is a week from this Saturday. You can do pre-sales beginning this week. You don't have to go to the Bell Cherry in town. You can go to Fayetteville or any place with the tickets. And we keep the $5 in the club, and you spend the $5 at the sale. And if you advance and I have tickets, then you most.
Wonderful. $5 goes a long way, and it's holiday shopping time. Friendly reminder. Okay. I just bought Halloween candy the other night. I guess I'm a little late getting started here, but what else, guys? Andy.
The good
Andy
thing
has
about
something.
that is there's less time for you to eat the candy.
Oh, yeah,
before
I
the
know.
trick or treat. See,
It's
that's
already-
what my problem is.
I've already kind of gotten in there a little bit.
Okay,
This gentleman.
Understandable.
The second announcement for the Lee County Arts Council Shared Abundance Dinner.
Okay, great.
The Lee County Arts Council supports quite a number of art organizations, arts and music organizations in the community, including the Lee County Orchestra, the Jazz Society, and quite a number of other projects in the community. But this is the annual fundraiser. It's going to be Sunday, November 12th, from 12 to 4 at the VFW Post, 5631. Basically, you get homemade soup, salad, fresh baked bread, and you get to get a handmade pottery bowl to take home with you. You could also have your soup in that bowl too if you want. Or you can take it home in pristine condition and there'll be
No
foam
residue.
plates for it, right. It's a $15 donation and it will support future art projects in the community. I didn't bring my tickets today. I'll have them again next week, but you can also buy tickets at the door.
Wonderful. Great.
And that's Sunday, November 12th.
Wonderful. So many wonderful arts in this community. I think we can all appreciate that. So, What's next? Any other announcements that I didn't get? Please, sir.
Yes, ma'am. I know the Christmas holiday is after Halloween, before, after Thanksgiving. But Troop 942, every year, or I don't know how many years, been selling Christmas trees and Christmas wreaths. We're again selling again. All sales are pre-sales. Pickup date is December 2nd at 9 o'clock p.m. in St. Luke's United Methodist Church. If you're interested in it, I just want to tell you that these trees are cut that week, so they're very fresh. The needles seem to stay on the trees throughout November. I had a tree outside that I had for years, played around through it for March and April.
Oh, yeah.
And I just kept trying to pull the needles off of it, the needles wouldn't come off of it, sketch water and everything. But we are pre-selling trees. This money actually goes to help a scout do work on his Eagle project or work on his camping stuff, or it goes, some of the money goes to the troops so we can know what the boys do, their certificates and their merit badges, things like that.
Fantastic. And I assume that the trees are cut in North Carolina.
Absolutely, Watauga County.
Yeah, I
Which
just want
county?
to
Where?
comment.
Watauga? Watauga, beautiful.
I've done it 9 years in a row, and they're terrific trees, and it's really a good price too.
Great. What other announcements? Yes, sir.
I guess I'm kind of, yes, I'm kind of out of it at no scare fair this year, but I figure I'd better make the announcement in case you see too much traffic going by the college toward the Stevens Center. That's this Saturday, so if you need a place to take the kids or grandkids,
It's a party going on.
that's what you do on
It's
Saturday.
a party going on. Terrific. Wonderful. What other announcements do we have? Yes, sir. Larry.
Well, it's good to be sitting next to Bob. Glad to have him back because he's been so busy. And just to let everybody know that Sean Williams will be rejoining the club next week. So come and welcome Sean back.
Wonderful. Great news. What other good news do we have? Is it time to go to brags? Have we announced everything? All right, I see some dollars, but I see an announcement
One
finger
last
over
announcement.
here. Yes.
This is kind of a quasi-brag announcement. There was a lot of confusion
Segue.
on social media this weekend. I'm sure some of you saw it. But I do need to pass along a note from my good friend Richard Porter. There's been some questions. Libations is definitely not closed. There has been a change in ownership, and some of you may know Richard Porter. He was a partial owner. He now owns the place outright and is very much open for business. And we are still doing trivia there every other Wednesday night. We did it yesterday. There were about 50 people there. If you want to come out, the next time we do it, I think is November 8th. I don't have a calendar in front of me. But we have a good time. And just wanted to clear that up for anybody that was confused. Sorry about that.
All right. Thanks for clearing that up. I think it's time to accept some dollars.
Most of you don't know what SACS is, but
Did it happen?
SACS is an accrediting company or accrediting agency. Actually, you may have read about it with the UNC conference. The SACS comes in once every 10 years and evaluates college. Usually, what they do is they find things you need to work on and you have to do a follow-up report. Central Carolina Community College had its exit interview this morning, and we have no recommendation.
Whoa.
I have a very young staff, which Patrick is a fine example of, but in celebration, my young staff made a dare today. And so all of us have to, if we had no recommendations, we had to put on our happy socks. Now, the president of the club has already commented that happy socks just don't look right on my feet. But I did.
Your socks are making me happy.
But I had to do this in order to keep up with my young staff and to celebrate our great achievements. So thank you very much. And Doug, I did not take offense that you thought I was old and stodgy and.
Happy socks.
didn't look good.
Happy socks cover a multitude of sins.
Yeah.
So wonderful. That's great news. So congratulations.
Can I ask one question? Does that ever happen? You get no recommendations?
It happens about to between 10 and 15% of
It's
the
a really
colleges.
low percentage.
Okay, that's tremendous news. Good news for Sanford.
It did not happen to UNC, by the way.
Duly noted. All right, what other brags do I have today, please? Yes, sir.
I want to brag on Bob Joyce. Last weekend, me and Bob and a couple other guys had a great trip. We went to Gettysburg, Antietam Battlefield. Just had a great weekend. But reason we were not here at Rotary last Thursday, we were somewhere in the mountains of Virginia drinking beer at lunchtime last Thursday.
Hey, a little day drinking for the record, okay? Everyone take note.
I assume that's an
Were there
excused
three
absence.
Rotarians?
Two Rotarians.
Oh, well, three and
Close.
But how many pints?
I didn't make that.
But how many pints?
I was
Wonderful, that
driving,
sounds
so
like
I
a great
only
trip.
had one.
That's
Well,
a great trip.
beer could be the third, so.
Informal official. Exactly.
and send it to Tim Miller, and have a good number.
Wonderful. Other brags.
All right, I can't let
ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much.
So David Spivey, as many of you know, is a Civil War historian par excellence, and he arranged a trip for us that was really hard to beat.
Wow.
I learned more about Gettysburg Battlefield, including the exact location of my great-grandfather's cavalry unit when they fought at Gettysburg. So it was a very impressive trip, and if any of you want to take it, I suggest you take along Dave Spivey as a guide.
But you had to clean monuments.
You do have to work. You do have to work.
To get your badge, for your monument badge, right? Wonderful. That's tremendous. Okay, great. Other brags for me, please.
Yeah, I'll brag. Hey, my son made it to Minnesota. He's on his 5th skateboard park, helping out doing that.
Cool.
And last night I got the opportunity to watch my daughter's dog again for like about an hour and a half or 2 hours. I was supposed to figure out what's going on with their wheel, why it's loose, change the oil, and watch the 6-month-old, 65-pound German Shepherd puppy. All I got to do was take a walk with the dog. That was it. None of that other stuff happened.
That's it. You get brag dollars just for keeping your shoulder in location.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Terrific. What other brags do we have for the club? Terrific. I have $2.
Yeah, Richard Carlson's wife, that play they put on at the
Oh, this is the
little
college of
center
living.
was absolutely fabulous.
Great.
Tony and I went, and I hope it was well attended the night we went, and I hope it was well attended the other nights, because it was,
Friday
they did
and
it.
Sunday were great.
They did.
I think you were there a short night.
I was, but they did a fabulous job, and I think that bring more of that stuff to the area, so bragging on
That's
you
a great
guys for
brag.
that.
Yeah, that's a great success.
The second brag is 15 days. 15 days. 15 days. We open up at Austin Pay, November 10th. In
All right.
Nashville.
There's $1 to remind us all.
I
Yes,
think,
sir.
I think I have to brag on Carol. She's been wanting to bring this play to Sanford since she left Anchorage. First, she brought No Scare Fair, and we got that up going, finally turned it over to Haven 2 years ago. So now she had the play to do, and she got some tremendous local talent. They did a great job, and I think those who saw it, there's some humor, there's some, what it did for me, it gave me empathy for these women that go through cancer.
Yeah.
I've been the helpmate.
The caregiver.
I've done all of that stuff.
The caregiver.
But there's no way I can put myself in her shoes, where she just turned it over to me and said, no, you listen to the doctor, you do this, because I got this stuff going on. So it was a great play.
How about that? That's tremendous. That's a great brag. Okay, is that a brag for me over there?
Yeah, they just went out the door.
Well, you got it on
I
camera.
better get over here and get it before it's anywhere else. Okay.
This was actually for the fellow who was sitting there, like he was talking about with Sachs. It's been a whirlwind for the last 5 days with them being on campus. As a matter of fact, I stayed at a hotel with them every night while they were here and drove them around. But our college wouldn't be where it is today if it weren't for that man who was sitting there, who's really brought it a long way in his vision and
his socks.
And his socks, which he is very uncomfortable in. I will say that way as I say. So,
but wore them.
But yeah, he is definitely an asset to this community and has done a whole lot for this community.
Here's the
last minute, Bregs, we're gonna sneak in there?
And
All right.
And I'm gonna
Back to
turn it
Mr.
over to
Chairman.
President-elect Chris.
All right, with us this afternoon, Charles wanted to come in and talk about budget and city council and potholes in your neighborhood, but I told him, no, you can only come in if you're going to talk about the cool stuff that you do, because Charles has one of my dream jobs. He's a freelance sports producer, and most of what he does is faith-based, but every time I talk to him on the phone, I can hear the roar of a crowd in the background or something going on, because he's all over the place all the time. He's going to tell us a little bit about what he does and talk about sports production, so I'm looking forward to it. Give him a round of applause, Charles Cagle.
I appreciate the introduction. It's funny, I did this about 2 months ago in Kinston, and the Rotary group that I did it for was 5 people. They had 5 people, so it was fun. It was quaint. And we got to spend a lot of time together, but I'm able to do this about 12 to 13 times a year, and it's an absolute joy to come and especially do it again, do it to the same group that I've dealt with before. With that in mind, I'm going to skip over a good chunk of this because a lot of you have seen this. I don't want to bore you to tears. I am going to get into some dialogue about what's going on with your cable, what's going on with sports content on the cable, what's going on with the contracts, because that's something I added. I realized a couple of years ago there was something missing from the presentation. It was not more the behind the scenes stuff, but what is actually going on before you get to the game. And I'm going to share that with you today. How many of you have cable? How many of you have satellite? How many of you cut the cord? There you go. That's going to be, you're the trending people there, right there. And I'll get into that in just a second here. So, disregard to tonight, I did realize that when I pulled it up. I'm going to spend more time on this, and I'll give you a little bit of overview on that. First of all, the money game. It's all about money. Anybody tells you it's not about money, they're wrong. I'm going to give you an idea of what's going on. The old NBA deal, which was from 2007 to 2014, was $930 million. The new NBA deal, $2.6 billion. Talking about a return on the asset there. 180% increase. It was a 21% increase before the previous one. So you can see where the trend is going just in the NBA. This is an eye chart, but I'm going to point out a couple of things. Your Major League Baseball contract, your NCAA contract, and this is a new update on the NCAA was $8.8 billion for 8 years. I remember when the deal was done back in the 90s. It was a 20-year deal, and it was some astronomical number. This is a year's worth now. NFL on Sunday night, I got a friend that works for that, on that crew. Look at this, and then look at what Comcast gets, $500,000 for every 30-second commercial that's aired. NFL, CBS, and these numbers are the latest. I updated these numbers last night, and I'll give you a trend in just a second on how these numbers look. But you look at the NFL numbers, you look at the Monday Night Football numbers. Now, one thing that's been really interesting is the NFL contract with Twitter. How do you monetize Twitter?
Advertising.
That's a big challenge. And right now, the advertising piece is very, very difficult. But yet, the NFL has a contract $7 to $9 million, $1 billion a year. And look at 1/45 of what NBC and CBS are paying. How do you monetize that commodity? Also, ACC contract. Everybody wants to talk about ACC. They renewed the contract. Once the contract was renewed, and they added 2 members, and they're looking on adding. There's rumor of adding 2 other members in full standing. They're trying to get Notre Dame to come on in full standing on all sports, but they want to be paired up with somebody else. So they're looking at another partner right now. But again, 12-year contract, $1.86 billion. The Big 12, to give you an idea, when Maryland left to go to the Big 12, they were guaranteed $22 million a year to come. So that's the difference when you have a Big 10 sports package and the ACC. The ACC network is officially launching next year. We've done some work with the ACC network, but ESPN is actually launching, like they did the SEC network. You'll have a channel that will show volleyball, that will show soccer, that will show swimming. and they'll also show the major sports. So that will be, it's going to be interesting how that, the next 2 years in ACC is going to be very interesting. Ad revenue, look at this on NASCAR. Fox made this, and NBC made this in 2015. Look what they paid out for it. That's not counting the cost. That's not counting the cost of taking 25 production trucks that run a minimum of $12,000 to $15,000 a week, or a day, and they have them there for a week. So you're looking at $50,000, $60,000 to have a TV truck, and they got 25 of them on site. So the expenses are there. That does not even include the ads that are run during the thing, the promotion that run, the sponsorship they have on the, you watching a NASCAR event now, you got things going around on all screens. It's an eye chart. But that's what's going to happen as we move forward. This is what it means. And I look back at 2015. 2015 was a very pivotal time for DirecTV because they started really looking at their retention rate on their subscription base. People were cutting the cord. You had the millennials that were not, they want to buy an a la carte package where they want to get certain things, but they don't want Home Network, or they don't want Home and Garden Network, they don't want other channels or TBS. They wanted to pick and choose what they wanted, and that's where we're headed in that industry. But the DirecTV numbers, their rates went up in 2015, 9%, but their subscribers went down 762,000 people. ESPN, now I updated this number last night. I got to tell you this. I think I put it in there. When I did this show 2.5 months ago, the number was 7 million. That's the latest. 13 million subscribers. They have lost over 10% of their base.
What's the reason?
I'm about to get into that. Just to say, that's the setup. Reason being is the contracts. You go back, it goes directly back to the NBA contracts. They're paying more, and their content. You have with ESPN, they got a different model. They have presenting sponsor. Capital One is the presenting sponsor of the whole event. They don't have a lot of billboard. You go to an ACC game, you'll see after about, in a basketball game, you'll see it 3.5 times. You'll see tonight's game is brought to you by BB&T, by Food Line. They have one title sponsor for everything. And to tell you how the impact, people want to know what the impact of the protests are with the NFL. I'm on the Fox email list because I do a lot of Fox football. 19.5% decrease the first week that it took place in viewership. Now you go back to a person that's paying, up to $1 million a spot on the air, and tell them they're hitting 19.5% less people. So again, everything goes back to the revenue piece. I did NBA for Boston Celtics preseason, and the last game I did was in Charlotte, right before the regular season started. And in the truck next to us was ESPN. I go in the truck, there's a director, there's a producer, nobody else. There's no graphics, there's no tape operators. They're sending the feed right back to Bristol, and in most cases they actually are doing, the announcers are in a sound booth, they're not even at the arena. The Duke games last year that were done, except for UNC game, all the Duke games that were done on ESPN were what they call Remy's. The announcers were not even in the arena. They're sitting in Bristol, Connecticut. That's the trend because they're trying to cut costs. So you got the cost cutting measures on site, which they're cutting the producers out on site too. So the directors, the guidance is taken, all this stuff is done in Bristol, in-house. It's a daytime job for them. They can do 2 games a day. So that's happening, that trend is happening. And you see that they're doing over 200 ACC basketball games this year. A lot of those will be Remy's. So it's happening. The NBA is actually doing what they call graphic Remy. All the graphic content for the NBA on ESPN is not done on site. It's in Bristol. So again, cutting costs, but also the increases. This is your magic number right here. Now look what Every month you pay your cable bill. 2011, $4.69 of your bill went to pay for ESPN. Look now. So just about, what, $84, $85 a year is going to ESPN. That's why you got ESPN 1, regular ESPN, you got ESPN 2, you got ESPN 3 on webcast. That's another trend is webcasting. I'm doing a package for East Carolina for 9 games in November and December. It's all on the internet, webcast. Again, it's low cost. I'll do 4 cameras. Dumbed down probably half the crew I have for ACC. And it's an easy show. But it still gets the content out there. So webcasting is another way that they can send it down line without having all the expense that they normally have. To get us on site, typically, just to have the truck on site, the engineer, producer, director, is about $25,000.
Will that be run through Watch ESPN, or is that something totally different?
Well, Watch ESPN is tied to your subscription. So you can't use a lot of times you can't use Watch ESPN unless you have your account number plugged in that's tied to your DirecTV or your Charter account, Spectrum account. So they got you there. Watch ESPN is a tool that you can use outside if you're not at home,
right,
and you want to use it, look at your iPad, you're out tailgating, you want to put Watch ESPN on, you still have to pay your subscription though.
But those telecasts you're talking about, the East Carolina games, is that where you would go to watch ESPN?
You can see them on there, but there's also some other applications you can go online and watch. Many of the schools provide it on their website too. So that's a trend. But yeah, this is the one that really gets you, because you see, as the numbers drop out, they got to make it for that revenue base. Okay. So there's only a couple ways they can do that, and keep Father Disney happy. Disney's trying to sell ESPN right now. To do that, they got to raise subscriptions rates. They got to cut cost, which means cutting the quality of programming. What's going to catch the Remy's, and mark my words on this, there's going to be a game that's going in a last-second shot, and the announcers are not going to know what's going on. It's already starting to happen now. We've seen some games. I watched a football game on a Friday night that was done, and you could tell it was a Remy based on the way, because the camera guys are having to hold their shots longer, because guess what's happening? The signal's going downstream. So you see what it calls sweeps. You see a camera guy that's focusing on a player, and then all of a sudden you see the camera go to another shot. That's a good sign it's a Remy when it's taking place. So again, I wanted you to see that it all works together, the whole cost and revenue side of things. It really shows you what you're paying on your cable bill. I do think that they're going to have to make a strong decision on a la carte services sooner or later. Whether if you're a sports nut that you want all sports programming, and you pick and choose that whole package. By the way, I must say, last time I did this presentation here, Dave was here, and the Cubs won the World Series a couple years later, so you got 2 years or so. Okay, we'll zip through these. Little plastic over squeeze there. About $8,000 to get a truck there. High definition truck's a lot higher now, and this gives you this is your operation of your nerve cell. We're going to blitz through these. Typically, a day is set up on a 10-hour day. It can go longer. We can have football games that go longer. That's one thing I dislike about football. They can drift. A couple weeks ago, I was in Miami, had a flight to New Orleans at 8:40. My game was over with at Hard Rock Stadium at 7:15. 40-minute trip to the airport. I walked on the airplane and turned to go down the aisle. Lady shut the door behind me. So we do have those games in those situations. But typically for basketball, it's a pretty rigid 2-hour game slot, 6 hours billed beforehand. So it takes us, and if we have the same teams, it doesn't take as much work because we keep our stuff on hard drives. I trust the path to ground with least resistance. I'll build something. I may not use it for 3 games, but that 4th game, I may have it ready to go. This is a typical truck. This is your straight truck with an expando bay here. This was brand new. Believe it or not, this truck actually caught on fire. I worked on it on Saturday and Sunday. It drove to Pittsburgh to do the NC State Pittsburgh game last year in basketball season. It caught on fire, and the local fire department came in and they let the Expando out, they sprayed it, and it all froze. So it was a $12 million damage to a truck. The truck was actually, brake line had caught on fire. So again, you take this out of the fleet, it makes it very painful during the season to do 2 games on the same day when you only have 1 truck. So we had to rent trucks the whole year last year. Just a typical booth setup. This is the key for me right here, because this is how the announcers talk to me during the game without talking on the air. This is their talkback box. They hit a button and say, can you find out something for me, and we'll talk back during the game. And or during the break, we'll talk to them and tell them that we got 3 replays coming back with Watson, quarterback, whatever. Audio board, NASCAR, keep going. This guy's Wendell Staten. If you watch the Super Bowl, you listen to his work. He is the head audio guy for Super Bowl. He also does our big games on ACC broadcast. He's based in Wilmington. He does the Sunday night game of the week, and just incredibly knowledgeable, especially when they take the cues. If a big play just happens and has a theme in Chicago, he will play a Chicago song. He's that quick. I mean, he's having to literally make split-second decisions on what music he goes to break with. So Wendell's a great guy. This is a typical ACC basketball setup. This is it looks like either Boston College or Florida State at Wake. And this is typically where I sit during the game, just right here. And then you got your coordinating producer, director, technical director there. Keep going. This is the NFL setup. This was the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game last year. We have monitors on the ceiling too. We're looking at monitors on the ceiling. This is where I was sitting during the game here. Keep going. Just go through these. Again, this is Super Bowl last year. That was the main console. My friend that works with the Sunday night crew sits right here during the game. He's based out of Columbia, South Carolina. This is my view during the game on most basketball games. Notice you got to have these. Got to have some little box candy there. That keeps it going. You got to cover it. We need to Photoshop the little spot there. Keep going. This is videotape, so all the replays that you see at the end of the game, they don't melt. If you remember the truck when it goes Expando, this is the Expando portion. This is where it pulls out. Okay, let's talk about Final Four real quick. Last year, NCAA tournament, Final Four, UNC squeaked one out. 200 technical people on that broadcast. Look at the numbers. 9 53-foot trucks, 20 miles of cable. Look at the high definition cameras, 2,500 cameras. Those are very, very expensive cameras. You had super slow motion cameras, and you added the machines. So you had 25 machines. They run probably 40 people back there. That tells you what it takes to put on a big game. That said, you're looking at people. The thing that you see now is the spider cams on TV for the NFL games. $46,000 a game if you use those.
Really?
Yep. It's not the technology; it's the renting of the system. It's not actually the cable. The cable is the cheapest part of it. It's paying the royalty to the people that invented it. Technology. Keep going. I'll just give you some engineering shots here. This is a good one. What's the mistake here? Some of you know that immediately.
Mexico.
Mexico's not in NCAA. It happens. It happens a lot. One of my biggest mistakes I ever did on a game was I did a tennis tournament, and Serena Venus Williams' mom had gotten a divorce, and we ID'd her with her name. She changed her name back. Phone rang pretty quickly. It's amazing how many people don't know the number, but when it comes time to make a mistake, they know the number. All right, get back one thing here. You see these codes here? You can't, it's hard to read. Like 42 is Pittsburgh, 48 is Syracuse, 11 is Virginia Tech. Anytime you see a graphic done that's got a team logo or team name, I put the code in. You remember those codes, and it pops the logo in automatically. You'll see this in just a second. All right, fan vote. I had to run this last year. This is something else that we come up with the content, the question, and we ask the question. I fire it during the middle of the broadcast in the first half, and we come back to it a little later. In this particular case, who was the best dunker in ACC? And you had this list here. And then we had a timer on the votes. I'll show you in just a second. This was one of the smallest vote results. Give me the next other way.
That's it.
Is it not going anymore?
Was it a smaller picture on the other side?
Yeah, go back to us. Anyway, it was 74,000 voters that voted on this particular game. We did hit 300,000, 400,000 last year in one game. So again, that's people just hitting. I'm sitting there watching the metrics. I'm sitting there watching the numbers go up. It's crazy. But this is a sponsored element during the game. All right, you can go next. All right, my typical setup. You see my grid here. You see my my font list here. This is my book, my codes. Got everything ready to go. I'm lost. If you want to triple us, take this right here out during the game or hide it. We've had announcers come in and grab my stuff, and I didn't work good. This is a good, during the game, I'm doing a 7 o'clock game, and there's 3 o'clock games that afternoon, 12 o'clock games. There's games that are ending while we're still on the air. Director says, you have updated standings. Uh-oh, now we've got to figure out the whole number side of things here and know the tiebreakers. I need to know that Wake Forest, if Louisville and State are tied, I need to know that who won head-to-head. So I had to organize this list on the fly. That's why you need these codes. I pulled this shell up, hit Alt 5, and put all those codes in, and it populates all those teams, their ranking, their logo, and their number. And then that's how I do this. I can build this graphic in about a minute, about 45 seconds to a minute. So.
Charles, you got a question back here.
What year was this to have Oklahoma be 3-11 in state ranking? I'm a state fan. I'm trying to.
This is probably 2 years ago. This was probably 2 years ago. Yeah. It wasn't at the end of the year, I can tell you that. Football, keep going. This is my chart during the game. So this is why you pull up your graphics. So see, this is old. I will say this, but it works. So visitors are always odd numbers: 1s, 3s, 5s, 7s, 9s, 11s, 13s, 15s. Even 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, all the way up to 1,800. And I can watch the game and know season number on Cat Barber was 402.
Charles, tell me what you think is going to happen in the NFL with viewership going down.
NFL's learned a lot from the NBA, in my opinion. Adam Silver came out with a statement that we will respect the Pledge of Allegiance. And that prompted a response from the NFL. NFL kind of botched that whole deal, because if you go back and look at what, they just let it go, let it go, let it go. Silver came down right at the beginning of the year and said, we're going to honor the flag. You can stay behind in the locker room, do whatever you want to, but we're going to honor the pledge. And they hadn't had any problems. So I think that you're going to see more teams come out there. I think baseball's going to take a hard stance on it. They already have in some regards. College, you can do what they do in college. We don't do the national anthem live. Find one game besides the ACC championship that we do, or NCAA championship that we do the national anthem live. You know why? Most arenas are dark. They cut the lights off for the starting lineups, and it takes them 45 seconds to 2 minutes to get back light, the full light again. You don't want to come back on air to a dark arena. So we record our opening, and we're playing that opening while the national anthem's going on. That's why when you see us come back, sometimes you can see the lights just coming back on. We're covering that because we don't do the national anthem anymore. I had a lady at Duke one of my games years ago when we did cover the national anthem, she forgot the words in the middle of the national anthem. Now what do? We went wide shot on her. I mean, it was bad, and the camera crazies actually started humming and started singing, and she just walked off the stage, and we pulled back though. We had to be respectful. And oftentimes in broadcasts, we have to be respectful. I did this Pittsburgh NC State game the other day, and Chubb dislocated his finger. And he rolled over, he got caught in a jersey. And when I I watched the replay before we went back on the air and showed it. He's about to say roll X, which is the replay move. And I said, don't, stop. The finger was dislocated at that point. Same thing with Gordon Hayward. I did the Celtics preseason, and you know, it's actually sad because I sat down and was talking to Gordon Hayward in the Charlotte game. Great tennis player in the NBA. And then to see him dislocate his foot and see it on, I don't know if you saw it on TV, it was bad. But you know, we have to make those judgment calls not to show things. Pittsburgh, the other day, we had one guy that knelt. We didn't show him. It wasn't, no need either.
We got time for one more question from the group here. Anybody else have something?
Do you have ACC officials or NCAA officials in the booth with you for replays, or is that just something?
It's on a phone. They ring down. Usually we can tell you when to play, and we'll show them. They'll ring down and we'll say, we've got 3 views of it, and then we'll show each view. Then they'll make their decision. We used to keep a counter on it. It's about 2 minutes and 20 seconds was the actual average review time in ACC football. But we're on, they meet with us before the game. We meet with officials, and we have a ring down phone. Any other questions?
Do you still do stats for ACC games?
Not doing any stats anymore. Mainly, I'm just doing graphic content, writing scripts, getting us on the air, storylines during the game. We meet with the coaches the day before, if it's football. Day of, we meet with the coaches before the game. Try to go to the practices. So a lot of our time is in prep work.
You get anything extra that?
Yes, I did. And Bonzi is my player of the year. Somebody asked me that earlier. Who did I pick for player of the year? Bonzi from Notre Dame was my player of the year. Grayson did make my list, by the way, top 5.
Well, I don't know about you guys. I could listen to this all day. Some of you have to go back to work. But I want to thank Charles for coming in and helping us. And David, could I ask you, we didn't have a lottery today, the 4-way test.
All right. 4-way test of the things you think, say, or do first.
Is it true? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice